Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Shalom, family. Good to see everyone here. Hope you're doing well. Well, we're going to talk about something people are chattering about, people that some are considered experts, and they're noticing a major strain on the power grids across the country because of the data centers. You know, they take up a lot of electricity. And the power grids in the country are already old. And, for years they've been talking about the power grids are eventually going to go down. And they're right, because really the life cycle of them was supposed to be 25 years. And we are well beyond 25 years. So now you're putting a lot of strain, and this is really heavy strain on the power grid, and it's raising everybody's bill. And the data center have to run 24/7. So there is no downtime for these data centers. They're putting these things up. Some of them are like 5 and 10 football fields long. I mean, it is just ridiculous size data centers. And some are being built. Some states already got hundreds of them already. So you can imagine the strain on the power grid. And there have been close calls um, where the power grid would go down and they barely was able to get it back up before the entire state went out. And see, that's what a lot of people don't realize. These data centers, if they take out the power grid, they're going to take out the electricity in the entire state. It's not going to just be the town that the data center is in. So, yes, this can turn into a major nightmare for a lot of people in this country. And right now, they're in fear of this happening because, it's not just the data center, y'all, even the medical field. They're anticipating all kinds of illness coming up in the near future from these data centers and how they're contaminating the water all around. And, they are anticipating a health fallout from it. So, it's dangerous, but all these rich people are heavily invested in these data centers, especially Elon Musk. He's one of the biggest perpetrators of putting this stuff up. And for them, it's like always, it's always about them making some money, like they don't have enough money. Billionaires investing in these data centers. So at the end of the day, it's going to be just the average people that are going to suffer the most and already are, you know? So let me go ahead and share my screen so you can hear what people are saying about these data centers and how they pose a real threat on the power grid. Please give me a one if you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, give me a one. Thank you.
We have big news right now. The rise in data centers across the country is posing a threat to the nation's power grid. That, according to a new statement from a grid watchdog. The North American Electric Reliability Corporation, also known as NERC, has now issued a rare Level 3 Essential Action Alert. They're warning that large computational loads associated with data centers pose immediate risks to the bulk power systems across the nation. And these data centers are now threatening grid reliability across the country. We have data centers being popped up in places like Utah, where you have a data center being built that's the size of 2,000 to 3,000 Walmarts, twice the size of Manhattan. You have a data center in New Jersey that's thousands of square feet large that's being built. You have a data center in northern Nevada that's diverting power from residents in the Tahoe region. You have a data center in Georgia that's siphoning millions and millions of gallons of water from residents who need it during a drought. And it all could threaten grid reliability. Spread the word. Follow along for all the news you need to know about.
The data centers are putting a significant load on our grid, which we have failed to maintain because we got far too comfortable with our energy efficiency and our conservation. And those little yellow stickers on your like water tank and stuff that tells you how efficient your appliances are. Are you familiar with those? It turns out those actually work really well. People thought they were stupid, but over a 20-year period, we didn't increase our energy consumption at all in the United States. We added 40 million people and 40 million cars and 20 million homes and did not increase our energy consumption at all. So we got lazy with our grid, with maintaining it, with keeping it up. And here comes the data centers. They're putting a massive strain on the grid, and people will notice that on their electricity bills. A lot of the rise in their electricity bills are due to distribution fees or service costs, or, it's all tied to the grid itself and the amount of strain that the grid is under. And you have to look at power lines and the grid sort of like a highway system. The more space that is taken up in that system, the more expensive the remaining space costs. It's just like a basic supply and demand scenario. So when the grid is like almost maxed out, that last little bit of juice that you can put through it becomes really expensive to deliver to your home. And that's why people's electric bills are going through the roof. And that's also why gas prices hurt so much more, now than say in 2008 when gas was $4. That was bad, but hey, at least my electric bill was $200.
This could damage our electrical grid permanently. This building behind me has just been approved for one of the Lehigh Valley's hyper data centers. People's concerns are the water use, the electrical use, and the hums and possibly the noise that's going to cause. Now, this is pretty much up out of the way, away from populated areas. The concern is that this building could use up to 500 megawatts of electricity. And if they have to upgrade the grid, the costs come back to you guys, to all of us, to pay more in electric bills. So that's the concern with a lot of people. For this to work, for YouTube to work, for AI to work, we're going to need these centers. Please stay with us because we did hit a couple people on the street and you got to hear their concerns. This could damage our electrical grid permanently. So we got a special guest that's going to help us answer the questions about what exactly the data centers are and what exactly they're going to do for us and how they can harm us. Thank you for watching. If you like this short, click down here to watch the full episode and make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thank you.
You're not going to believe this shit. Here's your latest unhinged headlines. Data Center Edition. Power grid watchdog NERC, the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, which oversees the power grids for the US, Canada, and Mexico, says the data centers may soon collapse power for the entire continent. Which means this summer we're going to see a lot of incels revolt when they lose their girlfriends. In Nevada, which is already home to more than 70 data centers, the residents of Lake Tahoe may soon lose their power completely. Why? Every drop is being redirected to the state's data centers, which is great news for tourists who enjoy falling asleep to the relaxing sounds of in Phoenix, Arizona. A new 240 megawatt Amazon Prime data center has officially broken ground. Do the people in Phoenix know about all the rare cancers and miscarriages linked to those? Soon we're all going to look like Bezos. Just a race of aborted fried eggs with one eye that can't handle the shame. Recently, in Fayette County, Georgia, the QTS data center drained 30 million gallons of water while residents were experiencing low water pressure and told to cut back. And in Morgan County, Georgia, thanks to the metadata center, their drinking water looks like this.
This is the current drinking water in Morgan County, Georgia. Right after a data center was constructed, the metadata center was constructed, the only difference between the clean water and this was that data center.
It's delicious. Can we send some to Washington? Just give it a little shake. Tell them it's the new Coke. And finally, ending things off with a cringy megalomaniacal cyst, Kevin O'Leary is now the owner of the largest data center in the world. This insult to God was just approved in Utah, will be 40,000 acres, and will consume more power than some states. So what do you think they're powering? Satan's Christmas tree? Oh, by the way, Kevin, was his hand hot or cold? Or just shake a hoof? What are your thoughts on data centers? Let me know in the comments. And follow for more unhinged headlines.
They contend with skyrocketing utility bills as the centers overwhelm power grids and guzzle groundwater to feed cooling systems inside.
I mean, you know, you're coming in and just taking this stuff from us.
T.A. Smith started the Texas Coalition Against Data Centers and says not only has government made it easier for tech companies to build these places, it's also harder than ever to lodge a complaint against them.
Y'all, do you know they're trying to make it illegal for you to sue a data center? They're literally trying to do the same thing. If you remember, they did the same thing with COVID-19 when that hit and we were locked down. And I think Mitch McConnell was the one that led the charge on that one, where you could not sue your employer if you got it from somebody at work. You couldn't sue anybody over COVID-19. Well, they're trying to do the same thing with these data centers. If you get sick or you want to file suit to get rid of a data center that's near you, they're putting so much red tape involved where it's next to impossible for you to even get off the ground with a lawsuit. Yeah, it is demonic. It is. Absolutely.
Well, now the places that you'd like to report these things to, EPA and FEMA, they're a skeleton of what they used to be.
And then there's the sound these places make when they're finally operational. Do you hear this? That low-level mechanical hum in the background? That's the sound of massive fans they use to keep the computers inside cool. At this facility, about an hour outside of Fort Worth, when you look at it from above, you can see they've installed soundproof walls in response to community complaints about the noise.
But a quarter mile away, Cheryl Shadden says the noise is as loud as ever.
It's like living on the edge of Niagara Falls, or you're
That's
on
crazy.
a runway next to a jet that's taking off, but this jet doesn't take off.
Morning, noon, night, she even hears it in her bedroom, and it's changed everything about how she lives her life.
It's noise that I hear at my kitchen window every morning when I get up and make my coffee. All of us sleep with fans on, TVs on, just trying to get to the point where we can get to sleep. Our property values have plummeted because of all of this noise and bombardment that we have. Nobody in this area could sell a home if they wanted to.
A Quinnipiac poll in March found 65% of all Americans oppose an AI data center in their communities.
We have some breaking news here as Kevin O'Leary went on Fox News and attacked and accused two women of being Chinese spies for investigating and reporting on his Stratos data center. And they are Elevate Utah. They're tagged here. And you got to go check out their videos. They are digging into this, finding out everything about it, finding out how other people involved in Utah politics, politicians are involved potentially with this project. This comes amid the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, known as NERC. It's an electrical grid watchdog group. They have issued a level 3 alert about the risks these data centers pose to our power grid. And this is an alert that is the highest they have and demands essential action by power utility providers. So They are issuing a massive alert right now amid all of this happening, amid the Stratos project moving forward, all of it, all these data centers across the country and the risks they pose to our power grids, and they need companies to take action. This also comes as NERC issued 2 previous warnings about the power grid and data centers over the last 9 months. So in 9 months, they've issued 3 warnings, now at their highest level. This is ultimately going to affect everyone in one way or another, and you'll first feel it with your electric bills going up significantly. This is based on a report that was published yesterday by Monitoring Analytics that shows that the nation's largest electrical grid, PJM interconnection, saw the price of wholesale electricity rise from $77.78 this time last year to $136.53. That is for 1 megawatt hour of electricity, and that is nearly double. This is going to make everyone's electrical costs go up, and they say if AI data center power is not dealt with here in the near term, we could see prices go even higher. The US power grid was not designed for the electrical demands of an AI-powered economy. It's just not set up to handle it. It's a pretty basic problem the AI data centers have created. Before they were around, the power grids had far more supply than demand, and now it's changed because of the huge power consumption of these data centers. That demand far exceeds the supply the power grids have. These are just the discussions and threats we are facing right now, thanks to Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, and others like him, these big tech corporations pushing AI down all our throats. Stay informed, keep checking back for updates, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
All right, y'all. This is crazy. But I actually can see these data centers because they're so huge, huge. I can see them taking out the power grid around the country. And, all they're going to do is point the finger at each other. They're not going to care about what happens to us when we are in a position where we got to fend for ourselves. They're not going to care, And I also notice the newer data centers that they're constructing, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. These things are crazy in size. So we shall see. But I can see the data centers being the downfall of the power grids in this country. Absolutely. No, it shouldn't be this way. To me, if you're going to have a facility like that, at least put it away from where, there's a big population of residents or there's a bunch of houses there. But no, they need to be near the house that you have, because how are they going to soak up all the electricity if they're not near you? So, it would be nice if they would go to some remote place and put those up where nobody sees or hears it. But nope, they got to be in your residential area where you have to hear the sounds day and night, and it just completely disturbs your entire household. I feel sorry for children. Kids can't even be kids. I can't even imagine what my childhood would have been like if I was near a data center. I probably would have had to be put away. Every day of your life, you're hearing this loud screeching noise coming from data centers. It is crazy. Yeah, they're going up real fast in Texas. That's one of those states where they are really accelerating. Byron B. I don't know. Well, if you're in Texas, you would know that. Yeah, everything is impacted. I was even reading here in my state, there's, I think, 300 in New Jersey. There's a bunch of them here. And they're saying even the dogs and cats are behaving different because of the excessive noise and everything. And I think they're acting different because of, I sure hope people aren't giving tap water to their pets. And that might be another reason why they're acting strange, because they are literally contaminating all of the water. You know, they are contaminating all of the water, and it's crazy. Yeah, well, I hope you're not near a data center. But what that woman was saying is right. If you are looking for a house, you're sure not going to look for a house where you got to hear that noise pollution all night. And she's right. How are they going to sell their homes? They won't be able to sell their homes. Their homes are going to literally be useless on the market. It would just be up for sale forever. Nobody is going to purchase a home in a town that you got to listen to loud screeching noise all day and all night, and then you don't even get to see the night sky anymore. It looks like daylight 24/7. So what do you do with that house? And that's no fault of your own. You didn't cause it. Yeah, that's what I do. I give Loretta her water. I give her bottled water. Same bottled water we drink, that's what we give to her. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I suppose if you got land and they want to build a data center, you probably will get several $1 million out of it, but at what cost? At what cost? And then what's the value of your land once they start putting data centers on it or near it? Wouldn't that also drive down the cost of your land? I mean, these things are ruining everything for real. Mm-mm-mm. So, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and conclude. You know what the funny part is? The data center, they use the water to cool the fans, right? But they claim when the water is released back out, it's clean. I said, y'all ain't cleaning that water. You know you're lying. Y'all ain't cleaning that water. You're unleashing that water and it's heavily polluted, you know. But see, they'll tell you it's clean, and then years and years later, when people are getting sick everywhere, then they'll admit that the water is contaminated. But you know what? You know what the funny part is, Rosalind? They're putting it in white people's communities. That's why so many of them. That's why if you go online and look at the people complaining about data centers, it's white tea people. The vast majority of them are white tea people. See, whatever happens to us, they don't believe it's going to happen to them. When our neighborhoods were being polluted, the air was being polluted, they were putting factories by our community, and the exhaust that would pollute the air would pollute the community. They didn't want to hear it. Now they're putting the data centers where they live, and they're having a meltdown, and they're not going to do nothing about it. They can complain all they want. Once that data center is up and running, they're not shutting it down over them complaining. They're never going to shut it down. So, if you would have just cared when things were happening in our neighborhood, perhaps the data centers wouldn't be near where you live, but y'all didn't care. You thought, oh, well, as long as it's them and not us, I don't care. Yeah, well, look at you now. They are literally putting those data centers where they live. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Willie Gross, the entire country's going to be a cancer alley. You watch. And these data centers are going up in Canada and Mexico. So it's not just the United States, they're putting them all over in this part of North America. You know, now remember, it's prophesied that the Most High is going to make them dismantle all the stuff they put on this earth. He wants it down, taken down. And boy, they're going to have a lot to take down because they're going to have to take down all of these data centers. They're going to have to take every single one down. And you know the sad part? They'll be losing their lives taking down these data centers. And they will lose their lives being exposed to the water. So it is going to be a very deadly situation dismantling these data centers. But he's going to make them do it. And now you understand why it's going to take 1,000 years. It's going to take them that long to take down all these nuclear power plants and all of this destructive things they put on this earth. You know, they're going to have to take all this stuff down. Yeah, I guess it will take 1,000 years. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support. And be on the lookout for my next live. And don't forget to pick up your hair products. Shalom, family.